Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jai, an abstract painter in Portland, Oregon. Currently working out of a 100 square foot studio on some decent sized pieces. I wanted to thank you all for the support I received from my very first video. I loved reading your comments and hearing your stories. The feedback was really incredible. I know it's been a while since I first posted. This has been challenging in ways I didn't expect, but I'm still here to push on and show up. Better late than never, I guess. Which brings me to what I kind of want to talk about today. There's this idea that inspiration is what gets the work started. That you wait until you feel ready or have the right idea, the right energy or clarity. But if we waited for those things, I don't think we'd make much progress on our work at all. Artist block isn't always dramatic. It's not always some deep existential crisis about meaning or direction. I feel like it's much quieter than that. It's arriving and feeling unsure, looking at a painting and not knowing what the next move is. This piece is almost finished. I can feel it. But for now, I'm going to just turn it over so that I have a break. It'll keep me from accidentally overworking the piece and give me fresh eyes when I revisit it to make any necessary moves. Maybe you're feeling tired or distracted, or today just isn't the day. And it's tempting in those moments to think that the solution is external. Maybe if I had a bigger studio, or the light was better, if I had more supplies, or was more organized, or had just the right idea. But really, the hardest part is starting. To show up to the work when you don't feel energized or certain. When it's not flowing. Because the reality is that most days don't begin with inspiration. They do begin with showing up. You walk in or set up and look around. You look at what you made yesterday. Sometimes you're stoked on it, and sometimes you're not sure what you were thinking. Maybe you just stare at it for a while. And even if just staring, that's a part of the process too. Painting, at least for me, often feels like a puzzle. After layers of mark making and washes and subtractions and additions, what does it need next? But it's not always obvious. Sometimes it opens up to you immediately. You make one move and you're able to relax, and suddenly everything starts to click into place. Like one decision leads to another, and the painting starts to breathe. You build this momentum and this trust. Those days of breakthrough feel really great. You leave almost buzzing. But that's certainly not the majority of days. I feel like a lot of the time the process feels way slower. You sit with the work and you stare at it and envision edits. You try something small or add a wash. Maybe you scrape something back, move a line, soften an edge, or cover a section that used to feel important, but sometimes just none of it feels right, and you spend hours on an idea that you didn't end up liking at all. It's frustrating when you feel like you didn't make progress, or maybe even moved backwards. But something interesting happens when you do let it rest and come back to it. Come back the next day and you look at it again, and the thing you thought ruined the painting suddenly makes sense. Or maybe the part that you loved yesterday feels off. But time definitely changes your relationship to the work, which is why showing up repeatedly matters so much. Because a painting isn't solved in one moment. It's solved through time. Through revisiting again and again. That's the practice I struggle with most. I'm never showing up as often as I say I'm going to. And maybe it's because I feel the struggle already. But regardless, it does have an effect on my momentum, and it takes more time to get into a trusting mindset than I'd like. If that's you too, just make it a goal to show up and stay long enough for your mind to quiet down. You have to get comfortable and shake off the fear. It doesn't really feel like fear sometimes. I feel like sometimes it disguises itself as overthinking. I hope that makes sense. Either way, you've got to shake it off. Stop thinking, relax, and trust your subconscious to really get things moving. And it rarely happens right out of the gate, but it can get easier with consistency. Like, once you get over the fear of making the wrong move, or ruining something that's working, or starting something that you don't know how to finish, eventually you do make a move, sometimes small or sometimes it's bold. But once that first move happens, something does shift, and a conversation starts, and you find that flow state. It's rarely something mystical that arrives before you begin. Not saying it doesn't happen, but typically it's something that emerges once you're already inside the work. And once you're there, you reach that magical space where time just flies. Because you stayed long enough to get into the groove. And some days that never fully happens. You leave feeling like all you did was look at your work and make a couple seemingly small, cowardly adjustments. And that can be disappointing. but it's all part of the process. Play is also so important and can also help you get into that flow state and trusting your unconscious. It allows you to make things that don't work. Play is actually so important because play removes the pressure of perfection. If you walk into the studio thinking every move needs to be meaningful or successful, you can freeze. But if you walk in willing to explore, the conversation starts again. You try new things, you make strange decisions or play with a unique tool and see what happens. I'm going to let this dry overnight. A lot will change. Certain things will become more translucent. Some will darken. It's a bit chaotic right now. It's a lot chaotic right now, being just the third layer. So I'm going to take the darkest green that I created today and really simplify using that. So this piece will become a lot darker, and that'll bring out a lot of the really neat patterns that have come through during this wild session. Sometimes it leads somewhere beautiful, and sometimes it leads nowhere, but both outcomes are useful because both keep you in motion, and motion dissolves the block. Not waiting or thinking harder, but moving, and mark by mark, day by day, and over time, the work surfaces and ideas evolve. And the strange thing is, when you look back, it often feels like the work knew where it was going all along, but in the moment, it always feels uncertain. Which is why the practice of showing up matters so much. You don't need the perfect studio or idea. You don't need to wait to feel motivated. You just need to arrive. Just stand in front of the work. Stare at it for a while if you need to. Make a move, make another. Because the work doesn't ask for certainty, it asks you to be present.